The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Hey! A triple feature, 3 films up on the screen. One's a little heavy, one's a little sleek, and one's just caught between. We'll laugh and cry and overanalyze, dig through fleams with wide, wild eyes. Grab some popcorn, take your seat. 3 times the fun, 3 times the treat. Hey, a triple feature. That's what we're here to do. What we're here to do. Buckle up, the lights go down, and we'll watch them all with you.
Happy Black History Month, Jason.
Happy Black History Month, Mr. Mark Radulich.
So this is Triple Feature, and we are in the midst of Black History Month, and so it's Black Cinema all month long, except for when we talk football. And who better to do that than my man Jason Teasley. Tonight we're looking at the history of hip-hop through 3 films, and I'll tell you about them momentarily, but I gotta know, Jason, like, how far back? Does it go way, way back? How far back does your appreciation and love of hip-hop culture go? Like, did this go too far back? Like, where do you start?
No, this is about where I was. I mean, early LL Cool J, Beastie Boys, like Paul
How,
Revere is really one of my
how
favorite.
early LL Cool J? Are we talking radio, or are we talking Walking Like a Panther?
Walking Like a Panther and radio. I have both of them.
Okay.
I want to say I was probably, wow. I want to say probably about 83, 84 ish
Okay.
when I started getting into, the music and stuff. Like I said, early Beastie Boys, LL, Sugar Hill Gang, Fat Boys, Run-DMC, of course. I mean, all that vibe
Okay.
from that we're talking about.
All right. So you
here
pass.
shortly.
You pass. You can keep your black card.
Do
My
I
question
get
is,
to come to the cookout?
you get to come to the cookout,
Okay.
which I'm currently gatekeeping. Anywho, yeah, I'm like you. I was born in 1976, so in 81, 82, I'm 4, 5, 6 years old, and I grew up in an all-black neighborhood. People know my history. For those that don't, I grew up in Uniondale, Long Island. It was predominantly black, somewhat Hispanic. The whites had flighted by this point. By the time I'm born, it was originally where whites had settled when they took the GI Bill and left the city. And then the blacks showed up, and they went, "Woo! Off to Suffolk County we go." Actually, they went to Massapequa first, and then they went to Suffolk County. For those with the Long Island geography. And but I have a grandmother who sold real estate in the area. So when my parents got married, she helped them buy a house. She helped them buy a house in the area that she sold houses in. And since my parents were not racist and not wanting to flight, and my mom had grown up in that area, not my dad so much, but my mom, that was her stomping ground. She actually went to Uniondale High School. So like my first 12 years of life is just all black kids for the most part. And the culture that they had. And what's funny is back then, it wasn't as culturally, black people weren't as segregated as they will become. And they seem to be going in the opposite direction now. They seem to be more willing to, look at white culture and kind of pick what they want and leave the rest, which is fine, which is how it should be. You would go to a friend's house, and when MTV was a thing, you would just as likely to see a Run-DMC or LL Cool J video as you were to see Twisted Sister.
Yeah.
So I grew up with Run-DMC, all the way back to, King of Rock and, gosh, whatever preceded King of Rock, whose name I don't remember anymore. Raising Hell was like one of my favorite albums ever. Big LL Cool J fan. And we're going to talk about them a lot tonight. The Fat Boys. I actually started with I didn't have the original Fat Boys album, but I had the Fat Boys Are Back and pretty much everything up to Coming Back Hard Again. I would pretty much stick with rap and that whole culture probably until I moved to the white neighborhood. And then slowly but sure, by the time I got to high school, I wasn't as into it anymore. But by that point, this is now 1990, and rap is going to make us. Rap is about to make a very big change between 1990 and 1994. My question back to you, we can bring you back into the conversation, is how were you exposed to that much hip hop culture at that age? Like, I'm asking this specifically because I'm in New York when this is happening. You're in fucking West Virginia. You guys get culture about 10 years later. And I don't know. I didn't know black people were in West Virginia. Like, you need to educate me.
Okay, so where I grew up, there was a outdoor basketball court. I grew up playing basketball on this court since I was probably 5-6 years old. It was within walking distance of my house. I had an older cousin named Sam, who was about 4 or 5 years older than me. So, going over there, hanging around, the quote unquote park, you had people, and it was predominantly a basketball community. Like every Sunday, up till about I want to say up to about 2015 when I left Southern West Virginia. It shifted, but from probably I was probably 5 or 6 all the way up to at least 30. Every Sunday, this park would be packed. I mean, literally, it was basically, we called it the Rutgers Park of West Virginia, because if you did not show up at 2 o'clock, you did not play that day. You'd lose and you would sit out. And you would have, during the summer, you would just literally have people driving in from Myrtle Beach, Virginia, all over the places that had went away to college or but they would all come back during the summer, and summer pickup games were the thing. And you would see people lined up. They had nice systems and stuff, and they would just be playing music. And like I said, I had an older cousin named Sam, who I grew up with, that me and him was really, really close. And, he kind of introduced me to a lot of stuff. Then I had my, I guess I can claim him for this one time. I had an older brother who was in the military, and when he went away, he brought a lot of stuff back. He actually introduced me to Sir Mix-a-Lot, and yes, because of him, I can rap the song "Buttermilk Biscuits" by Sir Mix-a-Lot.
High five! I like you again.
Yeah. So yeah, I know every word to "Buttermilk Biscuits" by Sir Mix-a-Lot because I was exposed to it at such a young age, and I listened to it constantly. So yeah, it was just growing up, and then probably about a mile up the road was still a predominantly black community, and I grew up with a lot of black kids and stuff. It wasn't uncommon that I had 2 really close friends. They were brothers. One was my age, one was a little bit younger. They knew my mom as mom because they was at my house so much. And if they seen my mom out in public, they would address her as mom. I grew up, I would be at their house, I would go to their cookouts and everything, and it was just a culture thing. It's nothing like it is now. There was no racial divide that we see now. Everybody just seen everybody for exactly who they were, and there was no skin color involved.
Yeah, I was adopted by a few different Black and Puerto Rican moms in my neighborhood. Both my parents worked, and my mom was, a little crazy and a little abusive. So I spent a lot of time. And back then, I don't know if people know this, but children used to play outside before the invention of the tablet and the portable video game player. People used to go play outside, and I would get up in the morning, get dressed, get on my bike, and I'd be out that fucking house, man, before my mom got up. And you wouldn't see my ass until when, Jason? When do you got to go home?
As soon as the street lights come on, you had to be at least in eyesight of my house when the street lights came on.
You needed to be coming up the street, or there cops were getting called. There was a park in my neighborhood, Smith Street Park, which I was not allowed to go to, which I would go to occasionally because I was an asshole kid. But Smith Street was one part playground, one part basketball, and one part drug den. So there was, my parents had good reason, but. So these movies, I saw all 3 of them back in the day. Maybe not as soon as they came out, and I have seen Beat Street, but it was so long ago. It was probably only contemporaneously when it came out. I had more of a memory of Krush Groove going back to it, and Disorderlies I will never forget. Disorderlies still cracks me up to this day. Just yes
Oh,
or
yeah.
no, had you seen any of these before I pitched them to do this triple feature?
The only one I had seen was Disorderlies because, like I said, I was growing up, and it used to come on HBO a lot after its original cinematic run. It came on HBO a lot, and like I said, there was a lot of times, something about me. I was not a healthy kid. I mean, I had pneumonia, I think, 14 times by the age of 10. So, so when I wasn't playing sports, I was usually in a hospital and oxygen tent. I still to this day at 47 years old, I have scar tissue in my lungs from having pneumonia so much as a child. And back then, healthcare wasn't the greatest thing. So,
Back then,
yeah.
has it ever
Well,
been?
I mean, compared to that, I mean, we've made leaps and bounds compared to where we was.
Oh, you're actually talking about actual treatment because I'm thinking about my $7,000
Yeah.
deductible. Anyway,
Yeah. We'll talk more about that at the end of this month when we
yeah,
cover
with
John
John
Q.
Q.
But
right.
but yeah, I mean, I was sleeping in oxygen tents because my lungs were so jacked up. But yet I was still playing sports every fall, every spring, and every fall. I would get pneumonia, just about.
Wonderful. All right, let's get into these movies. Just a quick demographic thing I want to read you. We're looking at three early hip hop films that helped translate a Bronx-born movement to mainstream America. Krush Groove from 1985, Beat Street from the year before, and Disorderlies from 1987. Krush Groove was directed by Michael Schultz, dramatizes the rise of Def Jam, and stars Blair Underwood doing his best Russell Simmons impression. Also starring Sheila E., Run-DMC, LL Cool J, and the Fat Boys, the Avengers of early hip hop. Beat Street, directed by Stan Lathan and produced by Harry Belafonte, focuses on breakdancing, DJ culture, and graffiti art in the South Bronx, starring Radon Chong and Guy Davis. And finally, Disorderlies, also directed by Schultz and released by Warner Brothers, features the Fat Boys alongside Ralph Bellamy in a broad studio comedy. Together, these films capture hip hop's early crossover movement, music, dance style, and personality, moving from local scene to national platform. So let's get into Krush Groove. I really liked Krush Groove. Krush Groove has Blair Underwood, like I said, playing a fictionalized version of Russell Simmons. Run-DMC, they're basically doing the old records studio out of my college bedroom type thing. They are trying to make a go of it. At this point, Run-DMC, at least locally, are fairly popular. We get a run-in by LL Cool J, which is like the best scene in the movie. It's like, all right, we're done doing auditions now. Yeah, good. And then he proceeds to just jump into radio. God, I wish the world worked that way. This also features early Fat Boy stuff. They were actually known as the Disco Three, and then they called themselves the Fat Boys, not for the reasons dramatized in the movie. But basically, it was the line in the movie is nobody calls themselves fat. Let's just do that. That'll make us different. I think it's really funny. And I'll talk about the Fat Boys in this in a minute because they are one of my favorite things about Krush Groove. I knew almost nothing about Sheila E., and the only thing I really knew about Curtis Blow was the song Basketball. And I think If I Were the World. But they're in this too, and Sheila E., they kind of force a love interest role on her with Blair Underwood. The tension of the movie is the tension you see in a lot of movies like this. You have the group that's trying to, it's like Airheads or Wayne's World or whatever. You have this counterculture kind of punkish rock group trying to make their way in a world and trying to break the glass ceiling. They're getting known, they're getting popular, but then along comes evil record producer that says, sign with me. And at this point, there's always tension amongst the group. So in this particular case, there's tension between Run-DMC and Blair Underwood, and they almost lose Run-DMC. Eventually, everyone gets back together. They become successful. The Fat Boys become successful. They sign LL Cool J. Sheila E. becomes big, and voila, you have Krush Groove, which is the name of the record company that is standing in for Def Jam. Def Jam was huge back in the day.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if they still exist, but Def Jam at the time was where you found most mainstream rap. And it was really the vehicle for bringing rap to, like, if I hadn't grown up in a black neighborhood, I still would have known who Run-DMC were. And if you didn't know who Run-DMC were prior to Raising Hell, you will, because they're going to team up with Aerosmith to do Walk This Way. And that's going to put them in every home and across America via MTV and that goofy as fuck video. I love Krush Groove. I thought it was a really well done movie. Pretty straightforward, you know, simple, but not everything has to be like super complex and deep. What did you think of Krush Groove?
Yeah, I mean, it served its purpose. I mean, like we was talking about, it basically was a blueprint for Def Jam Records in the early '80s, and how massive Def Jam became. I mean, it defined hip hop culture to so much that it started actually impacting pop culture, because you later, I don't know if you remember, I'm sure you do, we had Russell Simmons' Def Jam that introduced a lot of comedians to the world that came on HBO. And this, like I said, this is something that, you know, it's pretty copy and paste, but this is one of the very first vehicles that hip hop had to be, especially with Blair Underwood's debut. I think this is actually his debut film.
Yes.
So getting him out in front of everybody, and also helping get the hip hop community becoming more well known and more of a national rather than regional thing. Because you just said it yourself. Growing up in New York, you heard of pretty much all of these.
I've lived around these people. Like,
yeah,
Run-DMC are from Queens. LL Cool J is from Queens. The Fat Boys, I can't remember where they're from, but they're close to where I lived. De La Soul is from Freeport, where my grandmother lived. Like, the principal of my elementary school literally neighbors with, I can't remember which one it is, if it's Run-DMC or LL Cool J, but I remember him telling me about that. It's like, yeah, LL Cool J is my neighbor. Like, these people.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah, sure.
Because, you know, growing up in the culture, I mean, being fully submerged, was mixtapes a thing early on that you seen predominantly in New York for some of these groups before they made it big?
I mean, you got to remember I'm a little kid.
Well, I'm just saying, you probably still seen people you still went to malls and stuff growing up. You still seen, you know, the local hangout spots, people selling, you know, tapes out of the back of their car and stuff.
Yeah, and I saw that more when I was in junior high and high school. When I started working in record stores, when I had a little bit more freedom and was able to go to the Sunrise Mall, which no longer exists here. You know, and there used to be like a Sam Goody because Goody got it. And God, what was the other? It was Sam Goody, and what was the other? There were two mall record stores, just like there were two mall bookstores back in the 80s. There was B. Dalton and not Books A Million, something else. Anyway, there were a couple of different mall record stores, and I would go to them frequently. And then, yeah, there was always like tapes on consignment. And then when I worked in my cousin's record store, we would take tapes on consignment too. I know tape trading in general was a big thing. If you hear Lars Ulrich talk about it with like the rise of Metallica, like that, you know, he got involved in like the Bay Area tape trading scene. Like, people would send tapes across. It was the same thing with pro wrestling, only it was video sets, where people would just send each other tapes and cassettes and whatnot. And that's how culture migrated. To get back to your original question, get back to Krush Groove. I would say my exposure, these people were already making fully fledged produced albums. Like, I had the weirdest cassette collection growing up as a kid, because half of it was like children's tapes, like Disco Mickey and stuff like that, and then the other half was like all like hardcore rap. You know, 1 minute is just like throw it out the window, the second story window. The next minute, everyone starts fucking the girls. A real line in a Fat Boy song.
Yeah, I mean, So yeah, just imagine. Okay, just think. Basically, and what's funny about you bringing up Lost Origin Metallic is how funny that he came out against Napster, which became digital sharing versus tape trading, and I thought that was actually hilarious.
Sure.
Uh,
I'm not going to litigate that with you. I've talked about it
no, I'm
plenty.
no, I'm just saying. I
Mhm.
mean, just the stance on that. I mean, it basically the only thing it just changed mediums in my,
Sure.
and that's really weird. And you know, and today, you see, just to take it back, tie it all in. You see, everybody thinks that they can be a rap star today because of the internet and because of the exposure. Back then, everything was more grassroots and
Hmm.
more community driven, and we see
Yeah.
that,
Everything was
and we
punk
see
rock.
that when we covered Do the Right Thing. I mean, you
Hmm.
seen how the community was, how entrenched everything was in the community, from you might be a local, you might be trying somebody to make it big as a local rapper, but you still knew who your friends were. You still
I
had your
wish you had been on the Wu-Tang Clan show that Jesse and I did. When Jesse and I reviewed and what is it? I think it's not Enter the Wu-Tang. Wow, I
13
can't remember.
Chambers.
What was that?
Is it 13 Chambers?
No. The Wu-Tang Clan show that was on Hulu.
Okay.
It was like Enter the Wu-Tang, an American Story, or something like that.
Yeah,
But or it might have just been called Wu-Tang Clan, Enter American Story. But my point is, like, they went out of their way in that to show how getting your getting your tape played at parties, and then getting it into a DJ's hands could make or break an act. Like
yeah,
that's how you got discovered. It's like you put to anybody can go into a studio and produce a demo. Getting that demo played, and the thing of it is, what the Wu Tang Clan show showed was that at the time, it's so funny because in 2026 we're very much an indoor culture,
very much.
and back then everybody was outdoors. So and everybody had, and we weren't really in personal niches wasn't part of the culture. Everybody had boom boxes.
Yep.
That's how you showed
Dual
demos.
deck. The dual
Yeah.
deck.
Yep. So you had a boom box, and everybody had a boom box, and if everybody had a copy, which got shared around of like a Wu Tang demo, then it was being played in the street. Everybody could hear it. A very, you talked about grassroots, very grassroots way of doing this. So going back to Krush Groove, I actually want to talk about a couple of scenes from the movie, and then we can move on. Again, if you're playing like LL Cool J or Run-DMC or whatever, there's a very good chance no one had heard it before, and they're playing it in the street, and it's like, can I get a copy of that? Let me get a copy of that tape, and it would just get passed around like that, and eventually, someone's going to tap you. By the way, the Beastie Boys also in Krush Groove,
Yeah.
which was hilarious to me. So I love the Fat Boys in this. The Fat Boys are hysterical, and you can tell like the personalities of these guys and who independently could have made it in film and who would have struggled. Like Buff and Buff would have. We lost Buff too early.
Way too early.
If Buff had existed 10 years later, he would have been on SNL. He's fucking hilarious, and he, like Chris Farley or John Candy, really leaned into his weight. And he totally like fucking laughs at himself. It's like I'm like, he's the one that says, I'm not calling myself fat. Like, you're the fattest one amongst us. But the guy that with a lot of the charisma, and the one who kind of carries the two of them through this movie, and to a lesser extent Disorderlies, is Prince Marky D, who we lost a few years ago. Ask me why I know that, because Jesse and I did a tribute to him. But
I
Prince
didn't know
Marky
that
D
he
actually
passed.
had Prince. Yeah, he did. Like in his 50s. I should be so lucky. But Prince Marky D, he actually had like natural charisma. The camera loves him. The one, I think it's Joski Love is his name. He fucking can't act for shit. He's just being himself. But what's hilarious is he doesn't have to, because and again, if you grew up among black kids, you know the Joski Love type, where he is as self-sabotaging a kid as anything, and no matter how many chances you give him, he will walk away from every chance given. He will self-sabotage and fuck his life up to a fare thee well. and it's like they all have. It's like if one of them falls, they're all going down, fat as they are, and they're like begging him, like, do the talent show, do this, do that, and he's just like, no, I'm traumatized, and I have issues, and he doesn't say those things, but it's very much implied. He's like, if I have to try too hard, it might hurt myself, and I don't want to be hurt, so no, I'd rather do nothing and die than do something and fail. And how many kids do you know that are like that? He is the most recognizable human in the entire movie.
Oh yeah, I mean, and sadly, that's culture today because you have two. You don't have a gray area today. You either have people that have no talent that think they have talent, or people that have talent that are scared to fail.
Yeah.
And there's no middle ground. There's no, well, you just need confidence. No, there's people. I mean, we've got a whole industry through TikTok and Instagram and stuff of talentless people that are famous for doing nothing.
Yeah. It's the whole fucking influencer culture.
I mean, look at us. I mean, two white guys talking about Black history, and you're more recognizable about this than I am.
I'm very talented. Thank you.
No, I'm just saying.
I get asked to go on other people's podcasts.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. I do too. I do too. Sometimes.
How many of your podcasts have failed? Just out of curiosity.
Well, none of them has failed. It's just life got in the way, and we can't. I mean, adulting happens, and sometimes you don't get to play with your friends because you have to be an adult.
That's fair. All right, I'm just teasing. I wonder if I don't talk about the Sbarro scene, I'm gonna be mad we did this. That Sbarro scene is fucking hilarious. I don't know if Sbarro still exists, but for the kids who might be listening to this, Sbarro's used to be like an all-you-can-eat Italian eatery. It was pizza, but it was also like pastas and salads and stuff. And as the song says, in the song "All You Can Eat," which I'm fairly certain they wrote this scene in there just so they could basically shoot a music video for "All You Can Eat." But it was $3.99. All you can eat, all you can eat. But when you're fat for as long as I've been, you hear that song sung to you a lot. It's really traumatizing. But just walking down the street, some black kids yelling at me, "All you can eat." Shut up, big boned. Anyway, they have a particularly bad time of things, and they're all sulking and sad, and nobody likes a sad fat kid. And it's Prince Marky D who comes out of the subway, and he sees the sign for Sbarro's that says $3.99, all you can eat. And so you hear the song over as they're doing the montage. And these fat fucks, they get online, and it's one pass is the $3.99. You load up your tray, you get however much you want you can carry. It's not Golden Corral, you just keep making turns. You pay once and with a loaded tray, and then that's it. You're done. And these assholes, they fucking, I know, like, now watching people eat is a thing on the internet. It was as gross then and it is now. And it feels like this was like the early framework for mukbangs. Like, these three fat assholes just shoving pizza and pasta and everything in their faces. And the camera gets right in there, too. It's not quite the substance with Dennis Quaid, where you can see inside his mouth. But it's gross. It's gross to watch these guys eat. And they devoured very high trays. And then the joke is they make two more passes and pay for none of it. And when the guy's like, "Hey," it's like Luigi, "Hey, what are you doing? You gotta pay for the more food." And they're like, "No." And they go, "Ah!" And they, and fat guys run away. Your thoughts, sir, on my favorite scene in the movie?
Hey, I mean, that works. I mean, yeah, the Fat Boys were definitely just a comedic driving force of this. Because I mean, it's kind of a serious movie, like I said, based on Def Jam. But yeah, I mean, you had to break up the tension every so often with the Fat Boys. So yeah. And we'll talk more about that when we get to Disorderlies, which I think is a hilarious movie.
It still stands up. I have a lot to say when we get to Disorderlies, so let's get there. Let's talk about Beat Street next. So Beat Street leaves the rap behind and kind of just focuses on dancing. Beat Street is about the breakdancing culture and the nightclub dance culture in the inner city, and a little bit of the graffiti culture. there's a subplot in there that has to do with graffiti, and it's because we just can't, because otherwise this would have been a documentary as we watched people. It would have been an early framework for what was the dancing MTV show where that's all they did.
Club MTV.
Maybe it was like with an early framework for Club MTV. 90% of this movie is I could like I don't want to show this to Robert, but I kind of want to show it to Robert just so I can hear him say, if you cut the dancing from this movie, it's 20 minutes long.
Oh yeah. No, also, it leans into a lot of stereotypes. You know, I think I sent you a message that said, the rap dance groups and everything are led by half Jewish, half Italian kids, white kids, rather than being, with people with rhythm, which I found absolutely hilarious. And you see,
I want to stop you there. I don't want to keep interrupting you, but I gotta break in with something. Beat Street's another really great example of it wasn't just poor black kids in the city. It was also poor white kids. It was the ones whose dad didn't take the GI Bill in white flight. Like, so much of New York was half poor black kids, half poor white and Hispanic kids. And Beat Street reminds you that, hey, it's not just the black kids that suffered. It was also a lot of white families.
Yeah, it showed the diversity of the culture. And boy, do we see a lot of non-rhythm white people dancing in this. I've seen. I really thought a couple of people were like, they just recorded people having seizures at one point.
Just shocking people with a cattle prod.
Yeah, I like people had like shot collars on, and they're just because some of the moves were very unorthodox, and I don't know if that's what you really call dancing. But
as a former dancer, and I don't mean like dancing like J-Lo type dancing, I mean like I used to go to clubs and go dancing a lot. The rhythm gets you the way it gets you, man. The rhythm just gets you, and you move your booty. That's all there is to it.
Well, was you a rave kid? You seem like you would be a rave kid, Mark. My dancing days preceded the raves, Jason. Thank you very much.
Oh,
okay. I just figured that you would have been a raver. I could see you with some
had I been born 10 years prior. If I'd been born in 86 and not 76, maybe. But no, I used to go to like industrial dance clubs, new wave 80s dance clubs and stuff like that. So it precedes the rave will come after.
Would you pop it and lock and drop it? Would you pop, lock, and drop?
I would drop it like it's hot. Yes, sir. I will still drop it like it's hot. Then I will sit down and then I will sit down and have a sweat.
Yeah, I will drop it, but I ain't gonna guarantee I'll get back up.
Anyway, Beat Street, sir.
Beat Street. I really like this. I like this a lot more than what I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, better, plight of the downtrodden boroughs and everything. But I think it did a good job of identifying that, it was a culture of very diverse backgrounds. You had whites, blacks, Hispanics, Jewish kids. I think I see a young MJF in there, lookalike contest.
Yeah, several years before he's born.
Yeah, I think it might have been his dad. We don't know.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, you see the diversity, you see the culture, and you see the phenomenon. I mean, a lot of people don't realize what kind of phenomenon street dancing was back in the late 70s through the 80s. I mean, even through, I would say, it really tapered off around late 88, 89, and it was fully gone by the 90s. But yeah, I mean, you would see these street performers, and they even talk about it. There's even a thing in there, they're over talking about the breakfast table, and they're talking about making $42. And it's like, it was a big deal, because back then $42 was probably about $4,000 now.
I was going to say $42 today gets you a Big Mac, no fries.
Yeah. Without using credit card, you could probably even biggie size it.
Like no shit. My girlfriend went to go get a foot-long meatball sub today from Subway. It was $13. Nothing else. Long gone are the $5 footlongs. I think that's. Yeah.
I think we could blame Jared trying to show his foot long off for that. But anyway,
Sure.
um, but yeah, I mean, the culture of dancing and how big it was being brought to a national audience was something to revel in. I
Mhm.
mean, it was a phenomenon because, like I said, it was a phenomenon. You've seen it in New York, you've seen it in Miami, you've seen it in LA.
Look
You
how
see people
far
perform.
breakdancing is going to go. Look how deep into the culture it's going to be. Because when you think about like how long breakdancing is going to be a thing for, and how many movies it gets featured, like I think about look, a year or so ago, I guess when the new Beverly Hills Cop came out, I gave my son the mission to go watch the first Beverly Hills Cop movie, and like he was like the best thing in the world is watching Eddie Murphy react to street culture in Beverly Hills to set the jazzy music. And what is like one of those things that you see is fucking breakdancing,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
like
and
what, the mid to late 80s.
yeah. I think original Beverly Hills Cop was like 83,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, it's a cultural phenomenon, and you also got to look at this breakdancing culture. Then led to a lot of the rhythm and moves you see in today's dance, and it was the
Mm-hmm.
building block to what you see a lot of the choreographed stuff. I mean, and I really want to do this long road to ruin with you because you'll crack up when I say it. But I want to do the Bring It On series with you.
Okay, so you're gonna get mad and not talk to me for a month, but
Uh,
somebody already asked to do an on trial for just the first Bring It On.
okay, well, I mean, I can be an adult and say okay,
It's
and not
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 it's not who you think. You're more than welcome to join us if you wish.
uh, I wouldn't say it's probably. I would love for it to be Pat.
It was not that.
Uh,
It was one of the other girls, one of the ones you don't hate. But anyway, we can talk about it later.
I don't hate it. I don't hate
My
everybody. Just
my
90%.
my point is, yeah. Somebody had already wanted to do the. I can't do the other Bring It Ons. They're all direct to video. No, no, thank you.
Well, the reason why I say that is because
Hmm.
the cheer culture took a lot of the breakdancing culture from the 80s and put it
Hmm.
into floor routines and stuff.
Yeah,
A lot
I
of the
can see that.
movements, a lot of the movements that you see in these cheer routines and these dance routines are basically you can mimic back to 80s breakdancing and the building blocks of it. And
Yeah.
that's why I think that this movie is actually an underground cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, you would have to. This is one of those things where when people who are like authorities on hip hop culture, like they know Beat Street, but I think this one almost would be lost to time. Except here we are talking about it. So here's me bringing back black culture. Um, but I'm going to talk about the actual film for a minute. So we have the basic story is that we have these DJs and dancers, and they're trying to make their way in the world, and it's kind of the similar structure to Crush Groove, and it's a similar structure to the thing you've seen before, where you have these ne'er do wells trying to trying to figure things out, and of course the world keeps working against them. One of them has a tragic ending. He's like doing graffiti, and he gets involved with another guy doing graffiti, and they have a fist fight about it. There's a whole thing about there's a younger brother who's also a big break dancer, and he wants to go be with his older brother, and the mom's like, "You're not old enough yet. Go do your homework." And there's a whole thing. Um, the thing that stood out to me is, of course, the best actress in this is Radon Chong, who was big in the '80s. Boy, never really gets her props. Like because she's in movies like this, and she's not in the Pretty Woman or something like that, something that was like a big cultural phenomenon. People don't realize how much Ray Dawn Chong was in and how good she was. But she has charisma for days. She's really pretty, and she brings a gravitas to a film like this that it wouldn't have had without her. She gets involved with the main lead, and of course, initially she inserts herself into these people's lives because just like in the first movie, like, hey, I see you there struggling, and I think you're talented, so I want to help you, and that in and of itself is its own struggle. Um, it meanders in places. It has the Luke Cage problem of if I had wanted to watch an hour and a half of dancing, I'd watch an hour and a half of dancing.
Yeah.
Like on the one hand, watching people dance and look like they're having the time of their lives made me feel good. Like I remember going out dancing. I remember how good it feels to dance. Um, I think about like club culture now because I hear about it on TikTok. People are like, "Oh, if you go to clubs are shit now." You know, everyone's on their phone. No one talks to each other, and it's a race to see who can make themselves look the most richest fastest. That's not what it used to be. And what's great about Beat Street is that it's this really great picture in time of people who went out dancing for the love of dancing. And gosh, is that something I think we're missing in today's culture?
Oh yeah, and you had something that gasped human interaction with people. I mean, you had actual human.
People.
Yeah, you actually interacted with people, and it was diverse. I mean, you didn't have. I mean, yeah, you had like some sub cliques in there, but
Mhm,
everybody was there for the same reason. And it's even going through. I mean, this is all the way up through the '90s.
mhm.
Um, I mean, clubs were packed when I went out.
Yeah.
Like, I was a drunken ginger back then.
Were you ever
Uh,
red roped? Like, because I never was. Like, I know that's a thing with some very popular clubs. Like, oh, they're only letting they're letting the hot girls in, and only the guys with money. So they would get red roped. But I never went to
oh,
those kinds of clubs.
I mean, I've been to a few, but the ones I went to, I knew the bouncer, so I had it in.
Okay.
Uh,
Look
so
at you,
I
Jason Teasley, Mr. Smooth.
I was about as smooth as sandpaper back then. With which I'm going to give you this visual, okay? I want I
Hmm.
want I want I want to bring you into the world of Jason, and you're not allowed to laugh. So
Okay.
imagine me, hair shaved up underneath,
Sure.
top parted down the middle, down to about here, bleach blonde, and I'm talking about like Eminem blonde, like
Right.
down to here.
Brad Pitt blonde.
And, yeah, and baggy jeans and a short sleeve button up shirt with a puka necklace on.
Wonderful. Did you kick it?
I was kicking it. I was kicking I was kicking
Let
everything.
me ask you a question. In all seriousness, did you stop so that you could collaborate and listen?
Yes, because Tyson's back with a brand new invention.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Something
sir.
something just grabbed a hold of me tightly, flowed like a harpoon daily and nightly. Will it ever stop, Mark? I don't know. You
Will
turn
it
off the
ever
lights
stop?
all the
Maybe
way.
never.
Uh,
Uh,
let's talk about my karaoke song. That and "Don't Stop Believing" is,
nice.
is my go-to.
You
But there's
you
two
uh,
things.
you singing "Don't Stop Believing" has to be magical.
There is a
Don't
video. I
stop
don't.
believing.
Oh,
Amber, get over
there's
here.
there's a video of me drunk at a Quaker State Lube
Hmm.
singing "Don't Stop Believing," and I jump up on a table and tell people to start playing the air guitar for the air guitar solo for it. So yeah, I was a menace back then. I was a menace. I was a drunken menace.
You seem like you
But,
were a lot of fun.
I
Anything else?
was.
Anything else about Beat Street? Because if not,
Yeah,
we'll
I
move
want to I
on.
want to address
Yeah.
two lines from this movie, and they're in the first part of the movie.
Hmm.
One, I just want to know how long do you think about a young man playing bongos for an entire year? Um, and secondly, did you know that us girls do have the boogie? Wow, was it
Yes.
was it a was it a great look into 80s culture?
Yeah.
But
I,
yeah, I
I
mean,
didn't talk about it with Crush Groove, but the amount of the use of the word man and the angry tone in everyday speaking voice, like, man, I'm gonna go up and get me a glass of water. What are you so angry about, Run? Jesus, calm down. There's a lot of
yeah,
that in both movies. Very just everybody having to talk emphatically.
because yeah, I mean, you have to emphasize everything because
Hmm.
it's just like the word fuck. I mean, it has so many diverse meanings. I mean, it could be every uh, form of a conjunction, a preposition, a verb, a noun, everything. I mean, it's the most versatile word in the English language.
Yeah. All right. You ready to move on to the last one?
Yeah, let's talk disorderlies. Disorderlies is fun.
Okay, so we have to talk about the Fat Boys again. Because the Fat Boys in Run DMC and probably LL Cool J were like the three most mainstream, most non-threatening to white people rap groups there were. Until Sir Mix-a-Lot, and then eventually, but not counting the Beastie Boys, they're their own thing. But I would say, if you were gonna have ambassadors to carry hip hop culture into flyover country, white middle class culture, white middle class homes, you could not have picked 3 better guys than the Fat Boys, whose songs were in the early days a little risque. Like I said, I remember clear as day. I'm in class, and it's like we're having, it's an end of the year like pizza party kind of a thing, and I brought in my cassettes to play in the classroom because I was that kid. And I remember one black girl in the classroom like grabbed my arm. It was like, "Ooh, you brought in bad words," just like that. And it was it was clear as day. I can remember him saying, "Everybody start fucking the girls." I was like, these are the same guys doing All You Can Eat, and will eventually do a cover of Wipeout.
Oh, the Wipeout cover. I was going to mention that. The Wipeout cover is great.
Yeah. Jesse and I, when when Prince Marky D died, we did and Metal Hammer of Doom Extra on Are You Ready for Freddy? Which is on, I believe, Coming Back Hard Again, if I remember correctly. They were the Fat Boys were very much like, we are here to bring our culture to the white man. And they could not have been happier to do so. The other thing I want to talk about with the Fat Boys is we didn't get enough of them over the years. I think they were also in a movie called Crushin', which I didn't remember until after we put this trio together. And I didn't want it to just be the Fat Boys through the whole thing.
We could have done the Fat Boys retrospect. I mean, they got 2 black people.
That's true. But you know who they remind me of, and I wrote notes about this for the later TikTok I'm going to do. They're basically a modern Three Stooges, and Disorderlies is very much a Three Stooges movie.
Yeah,
and I actually asked ChatGPT. I was like, "Why did they only stop with one? There should have been the Fat Boys in Disorderlies. The Fat Boys take on the Mummy. The Fat Boys, run a car wash." It's like, how did they? And the answer was, by that point, they weren't really doing that kind of thing anymore. They weren't doing studio deals with vaudevillian comedy groups. So essentially, the Fat Boys were born too late.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you think about it. You think about that culture about this time. I mean, you had a lot of comedies. I mean, could you imagine the Fat Boys being in Richard Pryor's movie? I think that would have been great. I mean,
with King Kong Bundy, that is a lot of tonnage.
Yeah, I mean that would have been great. I mean,
give me my shit. Fucking Richard.
But I mean,
what I'm saying, Jason, is they weren't doing like those serial movies anymore.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, they were, but they weren't doing it. They were shifting away from it. They were still doing them, but it was very few and far between. I mean,
they certainly weren't doing it with black. They certainly weren't doing it with a trio of fat black guys. And Disorderlies also didn't make any money, unfortunately.
There's only 2 black guys that are fat and black.
I'm counting Prince Marky D. He's honorary.
So he's invited to the cookout too. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
certainly. Okay. Who's going to tell him no with that coonskin cap he's got on, like fucking David?
I know that is great.
Imagine that's your gimmick. You're Puerto Rican. You're in a rap group. You're fat, and your other thing is a coonskin cap.
Yeah, I mean, you got channel Davy Crockett. I think that's in the prerequisites.
Sure. Anyway, so the premise of Disorderlies is basically they work as disorderlies, and there's a guy, and he's got a gambling debt, and he's got a rich uncle who's on his way. I think it's Ralph Bellamy, who is on his deathbed. So he's like, I know what I'll do. I will hire as private nurses the worst orderlies I can find. And he happens to find these 2 schmoes who are out of a job now and need money. He's like, you will work in my uncle's mansion and you will take care of him. And he's like, wah, but you'll be terrible and you'll kill him and I will get his money and I will pay off my gambling debt. That's the whole fucking movie. Guess what? It doesn't work. There's a point in the movie. my two favorite things in this movie is, and they're both related to each other. They lose his pills. They get his pills like thrown out.
Yeah, the
And
mate throws the pills out.
yeah, the one that Prince Marky D wants to sleep with, and because they don't give him his pills, he goes through like withdrawal. But then he's like, oh, it turns out he was over medicated. Haha, that's how that works. So now he's not on any more pills, and he's full of vim and vigor. So he takes them to do white people shit, and so we get to see the Fat Boys kill a horse, and because they're doing polo, and we get to see the Fat Boys do other fun, rich stuff. And this is great. But this raises the ire of the rich nephew the nephew who is in league with the mob, and so then it turns into a stupid action movie, and the Fat Boys win. But my favorite thing in this movie, and then I'll let you talk. My favorite thing in this movie is because Prince Marky D, from Krush Groove to Disorderlies, is the same character. He is entirely motivated by his penis. The other two are like wildly asexual. They want to fuck the food. They are not interested in women. Prince Marky D, very much interested in women and occasionally eating food. And then, like, she's like, well, if you want to get with me, what if you got into better shape, right? What if you got healthy? And he's like, well, how do I do that? He's like, eat sprouts. And the best line of this fucking movie. What's that? Sprouts. What sprouts do? They make you have good sex, man. Like, he fucking sells that line. Like, this is how you get sex by eating. I wish it were that easy. This is how you get sex by eating sprouts. Eat sprouts, get sex. That's what he said in his mind. I am 50 years old. That line still makes me laugh because I saw this when it came out, and even as a kid, I laughed at that line.
Well, I mean, and then there's a line where he said, I ate all of it and I'm still hungry, and he just reaches back and plucks a limb off the tree. He just slides it over to him.
Yeah,
but
that's Joski Love that does that. Here, eat this, you faggot. That's great.
My favorite part of this is the the whole Looney Tunes Acme views that gets lit that is like a quarter mile long, and it's seeing them chase it through. It's like what is it? A Goldberg maze. Because they're like chasing down a hallway that goes up some stairs.
You're talking about like a Rube Goldberg machine. Rube Goldberg machine,
yeah. It's like it goes down the hallway, up some steps, and they're so fat that they can't catch up to it and just stomp it out. So they have to do a cannonball into the pool to try to get the whip wet so it stops. I found that funny because I could just see I could just see the writers are going, well, they can't catch up to it. We'll make them dive into the pool.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's all physical comedy. Like, first of all, these guys are wildly charismatic. Buff Love is fucking hysterical. The guy, Joski Love, is whatever. He's the same character he was in Krush Groove. You know, he's ready to quit at a moment's notice, and he sulks a lot. But Buff is fucking hysterical. Prince Marky D is hysterical. These guys have charisma to get collectively. They have wild charisma, and they could have done anything. Like, had there been a concerted effort to push these guys in mainstream films, these guys would have been huge stars. They were hilarious. They very much, I mean, like, sure, there's a lot of like fat jokes in there. There's a lot of eating jokes, but they're also just like, if you ever watch the Are You Ready for Freddy, I just listened to that again in preparation for this. Jesse and I talked about how the Three Stooges were more than just physical comedy, more than just poking each other in the eyes and shit. Like, if they were afraid of something, it was big fear. You know, Buff Love, when he's scared of something, he's doing the same thing. They all overact, and they all act like big and broad, and that's not a fat joke, and it's hysterical.
Well, and they got good comedic timing that goes along with the physical comedy, because I mean, you can do physical comedy, but if the timing's not right and you don't have the proper setup and the timing to pull it off, it falls flat. They had great physical comedy plus the timing that went along with it, because I mean. And they were very relatable because, I mean, bumbling idiots, who can't relate?
And that's the thing. It's like a credit where credit's due. Nobody leans into the fact. Nobody. you can't claim that this movie promotes black incompetence. Like, this
Yeah.
had nothing to do with race. The Fat Boys happen to be black, period. But you could have replaced these three guys with any three fat guys, and you would have had the same movie. In the sense of, like, there's no jokes about them being black and incompetent. There's no jokes about them being black in any way, shape, or form. They're just there.
Well, the only thing that is kind of, and it's kind of alluded to, it's not straight up, is they talk about them them stealing everything in the house, and it's not because they're black, it's because
Well, I was gonna
they're
say that's more classist than it is racist.
yeah. I mean that's the only
These
thing.
guys are poor. That's the thing.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I mean, it's more of, and the sad part about it is, we look, and we do this in a lot of movies, the older movies we review, we look at it with 2026 glasses versus the actual time frame. Now, somebody else coming along that isn't very well versed in the culture and familiar, and they just watch this movie, they're going to pull out the race card.
Yeah,
I guarantee.
Those are the same people that think Sydney Sweeney's Gene commercial is Nazi propaganda, and there's no talking to those people.
Yeah, I mean, she's talking about her actual jeans that she wears. Not she's going to try to she's a female Hitler that wants to eradicate a race.
I will never forget that. Like, the amount of TikToks of everyone calling the American Eagle ad Nazi propaganda. I'm like, the fucking company wants to sell jeans. Could we calm the fuck down, please?
Yeah, I mean, it's a smart wordplay.
Yeah.
I mean, with a very hot female. I mean,
one of the hottest female actresses going. That's why they got her.
Yeah.
I'm sorry she didn't meet your standard of beauty. Colored hair, 50 pounds of metal in her face, and, insufferable. Anyway, back to the Fat Boys.
You can do that same commercial with Lizzo, but you need 4 times the material.
You would not sell jeans is the problem. As a lot of people have found out with the woke commercials, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Anyway, Disorderlies. I love this movie. This still stands up. This is one of those where I would have had my kids been around when I was watching these movies. I would have showed them I wouldn't have shown them necessarily Krush Groove or Beat Street. Just not that there's anything wrong with them, but if I had to pick one movie to show them, Disorderlies is a hidden gem. It is a funny ass comedy with 3 very likable stooges.
I don't know, but when you said that, the immediate picture that popped in my head is Jonas with a Kango hat on, and like the LL Cool J Kango hat, red jumpsuit with Adidas on. That I don't know why that image popped in my head, but it was hilarious that I seen it. You need to like do an AI picture of that just for shits and giggles. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can see Lily popping and locking watching Krush Groove or Beat Street. I mean, and wanting to become a mogul in the hip hop world watching Krush Groove.
Lily's going to perform Holly Rock at her next fucking recital.
There you go. But yeah, I mean, Disorderlies is a fun movie. It was great for its time. It encapsulates 80s hip hop culture, and it really shows how talented the Fat Boys actually were as performers, not just on stage at concerts, but also they were a medium to bring the culture to the masses.
Yep. We lost them too soon. I think they all died early. And they were born too late. Like, had these guys, I mean, it's a little hard to say because, again, I don't know if you can do 3 fat black guys during the time of Laurel and Hardy, the Three Stooges, etc. But I wish we had gotten like a serial series of Fat Boy movies. They would have lit up the screen. That's my last word on this.
If they would have came out with, they could have came out with a serial movie around the 90s. Back when,
really. Had they made it into had they been still popular like throughout the 90s when black movies were on the rise? Because we're talking about an era where if what was it, like one you know 1 out of 10 of these kinds of movies, like 9 movies that are strictly for there you may have a token black person in there. They're mostly white, and then there's one that's like this, and then like if I were to ask people right now, have you ever heard of these movies? They'd say no. Like these were not exactly. They were popular for what they were, but they weren't exactly like cultural touchstones across the nation. These were very niche movies. Had the Fat Boys been around in the 90s, where now you've got John Singleton, we've already had we've got a couple of Spike Lee successes. Black movies are growing exponentially. Could you imagine the Fat Boys and Boys in the Hood? Like they're all just hanging out with Ice Cube,
or Do the Right Thing.
Yeah, I want to now. Like here would be a good use of AI. Put the Fat Boys in more black movies. They're all in Baby Boy. They're all on bikes. Poor poor Buffalo. Stop.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can. I mean, even like stuff like House Party and stuff. I mean, we talked about this. This was originally supposed to be Breaking 2, and then we couldn't find where to watch the original Breaking movie, so we had to kind of shift gears, and we was kind of scrambling to find 3 movies to talk about, and we landed on these 3. But I mean, could you imagine like the house, them in House Party? Because I think them with Kid and Play would have been a comedic.
Oh yeah. Let them be the villains in the Kid and Play movie. That would have been great.
Or them coming up with Keenen Ivory Wayans as a vehicle. I think that would have been phenomenal. The Wayans brothers working with them would have created some hilarious movies.
Connect the Fat Boys to Robert Townsend, and their careers might have been very different.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think of somebody else. I mean, we covered just about every predominant black director, so yeah.
All right, that is our review of Krush Groove, Beat Street, and Disorderlies as we look at the early years of hip hop culture. Next week, we are going to look at contemporary black movies. They all bombed. It was The Book of Clarence, The American Society of Magical Negroes, and They Cloned Tyrone. And then the following week, we're looking at 3 Denzel Washington movies: Glory, Mo Better Blues, and John Q, which is basically just an excuse to complain about the healthcare system. This past week, it was the Super Bowl on Sunday, so there was no show. However, Monday, myself and Robert reviewed The Rip, The Wrecking Crew, and Roof Man. You can tune into that show to hear what we said about it. Alexis and I looked at the Muppet pilot, and then I just put out my TikTok this evening complaining that the Muppet should not be brought back. So there's that. Check me out. I'm on what was Gen X Wasteland. That was the name of the podcast. Miguel Connor's podcast, Gen X Wasteland. He has his own channel called Gen X Wasteland. I was on with another person. We were talking Gen X burnout. I got to demonstrate how to diagnose the culture. This is what I do. We had a great talk. We talked for an hour. They did not have me committed afterwards. It was good. This Saturday, Valentine's Day, I will spend time with my real sweetie, Evan Bevins. We are going to look at Oblivion, Snowpiercer, and The Fountain, as these are all comic book adjacent movies instead of doing an on trial. Sunday, Metal Hammer of Doom is back. I'm going to force my AI slop down everyone's throat. We're going to look at Fra Diavolo, Recipes for the Damned. How do you like them apples? My show, I talk about what I want. President's Day. We almost had a schedule change, but Robert decided to stick with Crime 101 instead, so we're going to review Crime 101 on Damn You Hollywood. Tuesday, Alexis is reviewing Fallout Season 2. Wednesday, myself, Gavin, and Jesse will be reviewing Sports Night Season 2, and then the aforementioned triple feature. So that's what I got going on. Jason, you got anything going on?
No, currently right now, I got nothing going on. Just being, just reveling in the month of Jason here on the Rattlinger Broadcasting Network and being the ray of sunshine to everybody that I can be, because I'm such a loving, charming individual that everybody just swoons over. Right, Mark? That's me. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
You're gonna eat some beans, and very soon everybody in the place is gonna leave the room. That's what's gonna happen.
Oh no, I'm already full of shit. I don't need this.
It's a line from the Fat Boys. I can't remember how it started. Like, eat some beans, and very soon everybody in the place will leave the room. So pass a banana so I can peel. Pass a banana so I can peel is the phrase that pays here on the Rattle Legend Broadcasting Network. So for Jason, I am the ghost of Prince Marky D. Be well, be safe, and behave.